Welcome to this episode. Today I want to talk to you about the biggest problems I see with pornography and the biggest roadblocks in overcoming pornography addiction and how to get over them. Do you want to experience the full potential of your sexual energy, deep intimacy in your relationship, and how it feels like to truly be in your power as a man? Can you hear the world's desperate calling for conscious, heart-centered men to rise to the occasion? Then welcome to the Heart of a King podcast, where you will find the clarity, guidance, and tools that will empower you to do what it truly takes to live a life of freedom, fulfillment, and bliss. So first of all, if you're still watching porn, there's no judgment. I was watching porn in the past as well. Just stay curious and open because there's so much potential in freeing yourself of this habit or even addiction. So first of all, I've been noticing definite increase in awareness recently in men, becoming aware that it's not serving them to have pornography in their lives, or even that it's kind of controlling them or they are not able to get off it. So the numbers are quite shocking these days. 1 in 3 men is addicted to pornography, and that is quite intense as well. I think 93% of teenagers, male teenagers, are exposed to pornography, so almost everyone there. And the average age of children starting to watch porn is 11. So that is already where I see the biggest problem in the whole thing, because this is an age where you're highly conditioned, and this is, you're still a child basically, and when you get interested in sexuality naturally, this is often the first thing people see. So this is kind of shaping their first impression of sexuality, and it is the absolute opposite, in my opinion, of what sexuality really is, of the sacredness of sexuality. So it basically starts to condition these teenagers and children, and I also know that I have been exposed to that as well as a teenager, and I did not have a healthy sexual education or something in that way. So if you get exposed to that at such a young age, it goes even deeper into conditioning you into using it and into seeing sexuality through that lens. One of the worst things in the whole scenario is how you will objectify women and have this strange kind of like conditioned way of looking at them from pornography, and as well your image of what sexuality itself is and what the sexual act looks like is also conditioned by that. And if you will not look beyond that, you will get stuck in a very limited experience of sexuality. What gets shown in pornography is a highly perverted and distorted version of what sexuality actually is, and for sure not does imply to people that it is, in my opinion, the most sacred thing, and definitely a very sacred thing. So it shows a very lustful, mindless, kind of friction-based sexuality, and it even gives people this perception that it would be something to be ashamed of. That already starts cutting you off from the true power that lies within sexuality, and that, in my opinion, is not happening by chance, but by design. But it also takes away from the true connection with another and the true bliss that you can actually experience with a lot of depth in a sacred sexuality, and which is not some kind of abstract woo-woo thing. It's just a natural and divine expression of what sexuality actually is. It's the true expression of what it is. So, and porn is kind of the opposite that gets portrayed there. So people often get stuck in that. And since sexual energy is life force energy, which creates life and is also the most powerful energy to manifest with. So watching porn and directing your powerful sexual energy towards that is definitely taking your own power away, and most likely not directing it towards what you actually want to create. It's the whole opposite. It is dumping your most powerful life force energy away into that whole blob of pornography, which some people on an energetic level describe as a collective entity of this energy, where all the energy of the porn users, all their sexuality gets dumped in, and this is definitely not a high vibrational engagement you're getting in there. And so this brings me to the whole topic about the addiction in pornography, because many people know that it gets you hooked in with your dopamine levels, and so it biologically affects you on your hormonal system if you watch pornography, and you get addicted that way, just like you get to a substance. But also the energetic connection and entanglements there get you hooked in and addicted there as well. So that is often what really keeps people stuck, and they can't understand it. It is definitely because sexual energy amplifies things and binds things together. If you connect with your sexual energy to these actors in the porn scene you're watching, you're actually having energetic entanglements with them. And most of these people are not doing that, if not all of them, are not doing that for fun. Most of them have drug addictions, lots of undealt with trauma, and lots of other life circumstances that in their perspective kind of force them into doing this work. So you definitely don't want to connect with that in your own energy system, but you do. So it gets you hooked into that, and your sexual energy also feeds that. And the other problem is energetically, and also just by your very physical act of producing views on a porn site, you are supporting also this suffering that's going on there. So you're supporting the human trafficking behind it, and the whole people being kind of stuck in that position. And also for you, if you keep engaging with this energy of the pornography, you will also experience often things like shame and other unwanted things that in the end also make you feel bad about yourself in a way, and definitely doesn't serve your confidence if you're porn addicted, or you're just influenced by it. And you're also bringing that into your relationship, and in many ways it's messing up your own sex life. So many guys experience a difficulty to last during sex, or sometimes even to get aroused in a real life sexual scenario where they're so overstimulated by the pornography input. All that, and together with approaching sex as something you would do or perform, or something that comes from lust or from the mind, all of that is taking away from your own sexual experience, and of course also of your partners. There's so much more I could share on this topic, but the biggest value I can bring to you right now is to share on overcoming roadblocks in the journey of liberating yourself from porn use and porn addiction. So as we spoke about, there's a lot of factors that tie into the addiction part in the porn use, and even just quote unquote a regular use of pornography that you're not able to just easily stop is already a big problem. And studies show that 87% of men in the US are watching porn regularly, and that's huge. So first of all, if you are watching it regularly, that's a habit. That's the first thing that has to change. And that's already where most people get stuck. Of course, it gets intensified by the hormonal and energetic effects of the porn use. But I first want to go into the habit themselves, because that's one of the most powerful ways we can influence the success of getting off the pornography. So usually people just try to suppress watching the pornography or just masturbating altogether. So basically, one way that works really well is if you actually ask yourself, okay, how can I redirect that energy? I highly encourage conscious engagement with your own sexuality, conscious self-pleasuring, conscious solo cultivation, and re-engagement with your own sensuality without external stimulation like pornography. But also in general, if you don't want to replace it with that, you could replace it with anything. You could literally say, okay, this time you would usually watch porn, and you could start a habit of going outside, having a walk, meditating, doing yoga, anything, having a workout. So you're actually directing also that energy and that time towards something that serves what you want to create. And it does help a lot to actually have something to replace a habit with rather than just trying to suppress it. So, and the next thing is, of course, to do a dopamine detox in the way of the pornography use itself, but you can also Google that. Also, social media use ties in a lot with messing with your dopamine receptors. And most importantly, the energetic entanglements as well that keep you hooked into coming back to watch more porn and to keep feeding that energy with your own precious life force sexual energy. And for these, you can clear them energetically. You could, for example, work with a skilled energy healing practitioner, or you could find ways of your own to clear that. I've spent a long time researching and learning methods that effectively clear things like that, especially around sexual energy. So that will be facilitated for everyone that's part of the Love Like a King online training and wants help with that, as well as releasing the conditioning and the other aspects that would keep you hooked in. That and what I'm going to share next is hugely able to contribute to the success in permanently getting off the pornography and replacing it with an engagement with sacred sexuality. So the next thing is support. First of all, what keeps most people stuck in the loop is the shame around the whole thing of the porn use, and just the shame they have been projecting onto their own sexuality and how they're expressing it, how they're not really honestly most of the time communicating and sharing about it in a way that would be healing. So what's the best thing is if you have an accountability partner that you can speak to on your journey of getting off the pornography, that can hold you accountable, but most importantly also can speak with you and hold space for you in sharing about this without any shame in the room. Just to have this experience and this awareness that there's nothing to be ashamed of, and it's actually a really courageous and amazing act to take the effort to get off the pornography. And you're not alone. I mean, as I said, 87% of men are watching porn regularly, and 1 in 3 men is addicted. It can be immensely powerful to have one person that you truly trust, that can hold space for you there, that you can honestly share your progress as well in the journey, that can hold you accountable. But what I found to be much more powerful even is to have a whole community of people that are actually doing the same thing. That is also what you will experience as part of the online course. Thank you for joining us for the Heart of a King podcast. Make sure to follow the podcast and turn on your notifications so you won't miss out on any new episodes coming out.